Welcome, weary traveler, to the echoes of the fallen realm, where epic tales become lullabies for the soul. Tonight, we journey to the celestial court where Queen Astralynn tends the crown of stars, watching over the realm of dreams where all souls find their eternal rest. Close your eyes and let the gentle whispers of starlight and cosmic winds guide you into dreams of infinite peace and divine harmony. In the highest reaches of the cosmic realm, where space and time bend into gentle spirals of light and shadow, there existed a palace built not of stone or gold, but of crystallized starlight and woven moonbeams. This was the celestial court, the place where all dreams were born and where all souls eventually came to rest in the embrace of eternal peace. Here, beyond the reach of earthly sorrows and mortal concerns, Queen Astralynn maintained her vigil over the crown of stars, the sacred artifact that governed the flow of dreams throughout all creation. The crown itself was a marvel beyond mortal comprehension, a circlet of pure starlight that contained within its ethereal structure every dream that had ever been dreamed and every vision that had ever brought comfort to a troubled soul. Each star that adorned its celestial form was actually a crystallized moment of perfect peace, a fragment of pure joy that had been harvested from the hearts of those who had found true contentment in their earthly lives. Queen Astralynn moved through her palace with the grace of one who had transcended the limitations of physical form while maintaining the compassionate heart that had elevated her to this celestial role. Her flowing robes seemed to be cut from the fabric of space itself, dark and mysterious, yet shot through with threads of silver light that caught and reflected every beam of starshine that touched them. Her hair cascaded down her shoulders like liquid mercury touched with stardust, while her eyes held depths that encompassed entire galaxies of wisdom and understanding. She had once been a mortal queen, ruling over a small kingdom on a distant world, but her compassion for her subjects and her dedication to ensuring their peaceful sleep had drawn the attention of the cosmic forces that governed the realm of dreams. When her earthly life had ended, she had been invited to take on this greater responsibility, becoming the guardian of all dreams and the protector of peaceful slumber throughout the universe. The palace that served as her domain was a place of impossible beauty, with corridors that stretched into infinity and chambers that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Gardens of crystal flowers bloomed in spaces where gravity held no sway, their petals chiming softly in harmonies that could soothe even the most troubled spirits. Fountains of liquid light flowed upward into streams of pure radiance that formed rivers of peace flowing through the air itself. In the throne room where Queen Astralynn held court, the crown of stars rested upon a pedestal carved from a single enormous diamond that had been formed in the heart of a dying star. The crown rotated slowly in the gentle breeze that was the breath of the cosmos itself, its starlight creating patterns on the crystal walls that told the stories of countless peaceful dreams and restful slumbers. From this vantage point, the queen could see into every bedroom, every peaceful grove, every quiet sanctuary where souls sought rest and renewal. She watched over children as they drifted off to sleep in their earthly beds, ensuring that their dreams were filled with wonder and joy rather than fear or sadness. she tended to the elderly as they prepared for their final rest, surrounding them with visions of the loved ones who awaited them in the realms beyond. But her greatest responsibility was caring for the dreams of those who had suffered trauma or loss, souls whose sleep had been disrupted by painful memories or unresolved grief. These troubled dreamers required special attention, and Queen Astralynn would often leave her throne to visit them personally, bringing with her the healing power of the crown of stars to transform their nightmares into peaceful visions of hope and renewal. Tonight, as she had done for countless eons before, the queen prepared to make her rounds through the realm of dreams, checking on those under her care and ensuring that all was peaceful in the vast tapestry of sleeping consciousness. She lifted the crown of stars from its pedestal with hands that had learned perfect gentleness through centuries of cosmic service, feeling its familiar weight and warmth as she placed it upon her brow. The moment the crown touched her head, Queen Astralynn's consciousness expanded to encompass the entire universe of dreams. She could see every sleeping soul, from the smallest child on the most distant planet to the most ancient beings in the far reaches of space. All were connected to her through threads of starlight that pulsed with the rhythm of peaceful breathing, creating a vast web of serenity that stretched across all of creation. Her first visit was to the dreams of Captain Aldrich Starweaver, a space explorer who had witnessed the destruction of his homeworld and had struggled with survivor's guilt for decades. His dreams had been plagued by visions of the catastrophe, endless loops of flame and destruction that prevented him from finding the rest his weary soul desperately needed. Queen Astralynn appeared in his dreamscape as a gentle presence surrounded by soft starlight, her voice carrying the authority of one who understood both loss and healing. "Peace, brave soul," she whispered, her words transforming the burning visions into gentle rainfall that washed away the pain. "You carry the memories of your world not as a burden, but as a sacred trust. Every story you tell of your people keeps their spirit alive in the cosmos." As her words flowed through his dream, Captain Starweaver began to see the destruction not as meaningless tragedy, but as a transformation that had freed his people from physical limitations and allowed them to become part of the eternal starlight that illuminated the universe. He saw his role not as a survivor marked by guilt, but as a guardian of memory whose very existence honored those who had passed beyond. The nightmare landscape of his dreams began to shift and change, the flames becoming aurora of beautiful color, the destruction becoming the birth of new stars, the loss becoming a transformation into something greater and more beautiful than what had been before. Peace settled over his sleeping mind like a blanket of soft starlight, and for the first time in decades, Captain Starweaver slept without fear. Queen Astralynn moved on to her next charge, the dreams of Sister Celeste Moonwhisper, a healer who had spent her life caring for the dying, but had been haunted by dreams of all the souls she had been unable to save. Her sleep was filled with the faces of those who had passed through her care, their silent accusations and expressions of pain creating a torment that prevented true rest. The Queen appeared in Sister Celeste's dreamscape as a figure of infinite compassion, surrounded by the gentle souls who had found peace through the healer's ministrations. Gentle servant, Queen Astralynn spoke with the voice of cosmic understanding. You see only the endings, but do you not recognize the peace that your presence brought to their final moments? Every soul you tended was blessed by your compassion, and their gratitude echoes throughout eternity. As the Queen's influence spread through the dream, Sister Celeste began to see the souls not as she remembered them in their final suffering, but as they truly were in the moments when her care had brought them comfort and peace. She saw the grandmother whose hand she had held as she spoke her last words of love to her family. She saw the young father whose fear had been transformed into acceptance through her gentle presence. She saw the countless souls who had passed from life to death, feeling loved and cared for rather than alone and afraid. The faces in her dreams began to smile rather than accuse, their expressions showing gratitude and peace rather than pain and despair. The dreamscape transformed from a place of torment into a garden of remembrance, where every soul she had helped bloom like a flower of perfect beauty, their individual fragrances creating a symphony of peaceful scents that filled her sleeping mind with serenity and joy. The Queen's next visit was to the dreams of Master Artificer Theron Starforge, a craftsman who had devoted his life to creating objects of beauty, but had been plagued by dreams of imperfection, visions of every flaw in every piece he had ever made, magnified until they seemed to mock his entire life's work. Queen Astralynn manifested in his dreamscape as a figure of artistic appreciation, surrounded by examples of the most perfect art ever created throughout the universe. "Noble Creator," she said with the voice of one who understood the pain of artistic striving, "you judge your work by impossible standards. But do you not see that your perceived imperfections were actually the touch of humanity that made your creations precious beyond measure?" Through her influence, Master Theron began to see his works not as they appeared to his critical eye, but as they had been experienced by those who encountered them with hearts open to beauty. He saw the young couple who had exchanged vows before the altar he had carved, their love blessed by the imperfect beauty that spoke of human hands guided by divine inspiration. He saw the children who had played with the toys he had crafted, their laughter bringing his creations to life in ways no perfect machine could ever achieve. The dreamscape filled with visions of people finding joy, comfort, and inspiration through his work, showing him that true artistic success was measured not by technical perfection, but by the ability to touch hearts and bring happiness to others. The harsh light of self-criticism that had illuminated his dreams faded into the gentle glow of recognition that his life's work had indeed been meaningful and beautiful. As the eternal night progressed through its peaceful cycle, Queen Astralynn continued her rounds through the realm of dreams, visiting souls whose sleep had been troubled by various forms of suffering or confusion. Each encounter was unique, requiring her to understand not just the surface symptoms, but the deeper spiritual wounds that prevented peaceful rest. She visited the dreams of Lord Commander Marcus Voidwalker, a military leader whose tactical brilliance had won countless battles, but who was haunted by dreams of every soldier who had died under his command. His sleep was filled with ghostly armies marching through landscapes of guilt and regret, their silent footsteps echoing with the weight of command decisions that had cost lives even as they saved many more. The Queen appeared in his military dreamscape as a figure of honored service, surrounded by the spirits of those who had willingly followed his leadership. Faithful commander, she spoke with the authority of one who understood the burden of leadership. You carry the weight of every loss, but do you see the gratitude of every life your decisions saved? Leadership requires courage not just in battle, but in accepting that some losses are the price of greater victories. Through her cosmic perspective, Lord Commander Voidwalker began to see his military career not as a series of costly mistakes, but as a pattern of choices that had consistently chosen the path that saved the most lives possible. The ghostly armies in his dreams transformed into formations of souls who saluted him not with accusation, but with respect and gratitude for leadership that had made difficult but necessary choices in service of the greater good. She moved on to comfort the dreams of Sage Lyrillin Truthseeker, a philosopher whose quest for ultimate knowledge had led her into nightmares of infinite uncertainty, dreams where every answer led to more questions, and every moment of understanding dissolved into greater confusion. Her sleep had become a labyrinth of doubt where she wandered endlessly, seeking a truth that always remained just beyond her reach. Queen Astralynn manifested in the philosophical dreamscape as a figure of serene wisdom, surrounded by the gentle light of understanding that transcended the need for complete knowledge. Devoted seeker, she said with a voice of cosmic patience, you have mistaken the journey for a destination, but do you not see that seeking itself is sacred? Every question you have asked has brought light to others who shared your confusion. The labyrinth of doubt in Sage Lyrelin's dreams began to transform into a garden of exploration, where each path led not to final answers, but to beautiful vistas of understanding that were meaningful in themselves. She saw how her questions had inspired students to think more deeply, how her uncertainty had given others permission to admit their own confusion and find comfort in shared seeking rather than isolated certainty. The dreamscape filled with images of minds opening like flowers, of conversations that had sparked new insights, of books and lectures that had helped others find their own paths toward truth, rather than demanding they accept a single predetermined answer. The sage found peace not in having all the answers, but in recognizing that her life's work of questioning had been its own form of sacred service. Queen Astralynn's rounds through the dream realm continued with visits to Archbishop Meridian Lightbringer, whose faith had been tested by witnessing suffering that seemed to contradict his beliefs in divine benevolence. His dreams were filled with visions of unanswered prayers and innocent suffering that created a crisis of faith that prevented the peaceful sleep his devout soul desperately needed. The Queen appeared in his theological dreamscape as a figure of infinite compassion who understood both faith and doubt as necessary aspects of spiritual growth. Faithful servant, she spoke with the voice of divine understanding. You have mistaken the absence of earthly intervention for the absence of divine love. But do you not see that sometimes the greatest compassion requires allowing souls to grow through their challenges rather than preventing all difficulty? Through her cosmic perspective, Archbishop Lightbringer began to see the suffering he had witnessed not as evidence of divine abandonment, but as part of a larger pattern of spiritual development that encompassed lifetimes and cosmic cycles beyond mortal comprehension. He saw how his own compassionate response to suffering had been itself a manifestation of divine love, working through human hearts. The theological crisis in his dreams resolved into a deeper understanding that faith was not about demanding certain outcomes from the divine, but about trusting in a love so profound that it could encompass even apparent tragedies within a larger pattern of ultimate meaning and purpose. His dreamscape filled with visions of souls finding strength through adversity, communities coming together to care for those in need, and his own ministry becoming more compassionate and effective because it had been tempered by doubt and refined by suffering. The Queen's next visit was to the dreams of Empress Stellara Cosmoseer, a ruler whose responsibility for billions of subjects had created nightmares of impossible choices and overwhelming responsibility. Her sleep was filled with visions of planetary disasters she could not prevent, social problems she could not solve, and the constant weight of decisions that affected countless lives in ways she could never fully understand. Queen Astralynn manifested in the imperial dreamscape as a figure of wise governance, surrounded by the gentle spirits of all good rulers throughout history who had faced similar challenges. "Noble leader," she said with a voice of cosmic authority, "you have confused perfect control with perfect service, but do you not see that your willingness to carry such responsibility is itself a form of sacred dedication?" Through her influence, Empress Stellara began to see her rule not as a test of omniscient control, but as an opportunity for service guided by wisdom and compassion. The impossible choices in her dreams transformed into examples of decisions made with careful consideration and genuine care for her subjects' well-being, even when perfect solutions were not available. She saw how her leadership style, marked by humility and genuine concern for others, had created a government that inspired similar dedication throughout her administration. The nightmares of failure transformed into visions of a civilization that thrived, not because its rulers were perfect, but because they were genuinely committed to serving the common good with integrity and compassion. As the cosmic night continued its eternal cycle, Queen Astralynn maintained her gentle vigil over the realm of dreams, understanding that her role was not to eliminate all suffering from the universe, but to ensure that no soul suffered alone in the darkness of troubled sleep. Each visit she made was an act of cosmic compassion, a reminder that even in the vast loneliness of space, every consciousness was precious and cared for by forces greater than themselves. The crown of stars upon her brow continued to pulse with gentle light, each beam connecting her to another dreaming soul somewhere in the vast expanse of creation. Through these connections, she could sense not just individual troubles, but the larger patterns of cosmic healing that operated through cycles of rest and renewal that encompassed entire galaxies and eons of time. She understood that her work in the dream realm was part of a vast cosmic therapy that helped consciousness evolve toward greater compassion, wisdom, and understanding through the gentle healing that occurred during periods of peaceful sleep. Every nightmare transformed into a peaceful dream was a step forward in the universe's journey toward complete awakening to its own divine nature. The palace around her hummed with the vibrations of countless peaceful dreams, creating a symphony of serenity that resonated throughout the cosmic realm. Gardens of crystal flowers chimed softly in harmonies that carried the essence of perfect rest to every corner of creation, while fountains of liquid light continued their eternal flow upward into streams of radiance that connected the dream realm to every sleeping consciousness throughout the universe. In the throne room, the diamond pedestal that normally held the crown of stars remained empty, but continued to pulse with gentle light, creating patterns on the crystal walls that told the ongoing story of peaceful sleep, spreading throughout creation like ripples in a cosmic pond. Each pattern spoke of another soul finding rest, another nightmare transformed into peaceful vision, another consciousness opening to the possibility of healing through divine dreaming. Queen Astralynn's rounds continued through what mortals would consider hours, but which in the realm of dreams existed outside the normal flow of time, moving at the pace of healing rather than the tyranny of earthly schedules. She visited dreamers on distant worlds and in nearby galaxies, beings of energy and creatures of crystal, ancient consciousnesses and newly born souls, all united in their need for peaceful rest and gentle healing. Each encounter deepened her understanding of the infinite creativity with which consciousness could wound itself, and the equally infinite power of divine love to heal those wounds through the application of appropriate compassionate wisdom. No two cases were exactly alike, yet all shared the common thread of souls seeking peace and finding it through connection with the cosmic love that was the true substance of all existence. As the eternal night began its gradual transition toward the cosmic dawn that would signal the end of this cycle of healing work, Queen Astralynn felt the familiar satisfaction that came from another period of successful service to the universe of dreamers. Countless souls who had begun the night in troubled sleep were now resting peacefully, their dreams filled with visions of hope, healing, and divine love. She made her way back to her throne room, her consciousness gradually withdrawing from its cosmic expansion to focus once again on her immediate surroundings. The crown of stars seemed to pulse more brightly as she approached, responding to the accumulated positive energy that had been generated through the night's work of healing, awe, and transformation. As she placed the crown back on its diamond pedestal, Queen Astralynn felt the gentle flow of gratitude from all the souls she had helped during her rounds. This gratitude was not personal recognition, but rather the natural response of consciousness to the healing it had received, a cosmic resonance that confirmed the rightness and necessity of her eternal service. The crystal flowers in her gardens chimed a little more brightly, their harmonies carrying new notes of joy and peace that would continue to resonate throughout the cosmic realm until the next cycle of healing began. The fountains of liquid light flowed a little more freely, their streams carrying the essence of successfully transformed dreams to bless other sleeping souls who might need encouragement in their own journeys toward peace. In the growing light of cosmic dawn, the palace itself seemed to pulse with renewed life and purpose, its corridors and chambers reflecting the accumulated peace of another night's successful healing work. The crystal walls showed new patterns of light that told the stories of souls who had found peace, nightmares that had been transformed, and hearts that had been healed through the gentle ministration of divine dreaming. Queen Astralynn settled into her throne with the deep satisfaction of one whose service had been both needed and effective. The realm of dreams would continue to need her guidance and protection, for as long as consciousness continued to evolve and grow, there would always be souls who struggled with the challenges of existence and needed the healing that only peaceful sleep could provide. But for now, in this moment of transition between night and day in the cosmic cycle, there was only peace and the quiet joy of service willingly given and gratefully received. The crown of stars continued to pulse with gentle light, ready to begin another cycle of healing when the cosmic night returned, while Queen Astralynn maintained her eternal vigil over the realm where all dreams were born and all souls found their way to rest. The scene dissolves into pure starlight and cosmic harmony, carrying the listener into the deepest possible peace where all dreams are blessed, all sleep is peaceful, and every soul finds its way home to the love that embraces all existence without condition or end. But the work of Queen Astralynn was far more complex and beautiful than any single night could contain, for she was not merely the guardian of individual dreams, but the architect of the vast cosmic symphony of sleep that connected every conscious being throughout the universe. Her palace existed simultaneously in all dimensions and all times, serving as the nexus point where the dreams of past, present, and future converged in perfect harmony. Within the deepest chambers of her celestial domain, the Queen maintained the great library of dreams, an infinite collection of every peaceful vision that had ever brought comfort to a troubled soul. The library's crystal shelves stretched beyond the reach of sight, filled with crystallized dreams that glowed with soft inner light, each one a perfect moment of serenity captured and preserved for all eternity. These dream crystals were not merely recordings, but living repositories of peace that could be called upon whenever a soul needed healing that went beyond what words or visions alone could provide. When Queen Astralynn encountered a dreamer whose suffering was particularly profound or complex, she would visit the library and select the perfect dream crystal to provide exactly the type of healing energy that soul required. The process of creating new dream crystals was one of the most sacred aspects of her work, requiring her to identify moments of perfect peace and joy in the lives of sleeping souls and gently extract their essence without diminishing the dreamer's own experience. These moments might be as simple as a child's laughter echoing through a parent's dream, or as profound as a mystic's vision of cosmic unity that filled their sleep with divine radiance. Each crystal was unique, containing not just the visual and emotional content of the dream, but the very spiritual frequency that had made it so powerfully healing for the original dreamer. Some crystals held the essence of maternal love, their warm golden light capable of healing souls who had never known the comfort of unconditional care. Others contained the pure joy of discovery, their bright silver radiance perfect for minds that had become trapped in cycles of despair or hopelessness. The Queen's personal favorite was a collection of dream crystals that contained what she called recognition dreams, visions where souls suddenly understood their own divine nature and infinite worth. These crystals glowed with a light that seemed to contain all colors and yet transcend color entirely, their radiance so pure and beautiful that even a moment's exposure to their energy could transform a lifetime of self-doubt into unshakable self-love. Beyond the library of dreams lay the workshop of renewal, where Queen Astralynn crafted new methods of dream healing for souls whose troubles required innovative approaches to therapy. Here she worked with teams of cosmic artisans, beings of pure creativity who had volunteered to serve the cause of peaceful sleep by developing new forms of healing vision and transformative dream experience. The workshop was filled with the most beautiful creations in existence, dream gardens where souls could walk through landscapes of perfect beauty that healed emotional wounds through contact with pure aesthetic pleasure, dream sanctuaries where those who had lost faith could experience direct communion with the divine love that permeated all creation, and dream laboratories where minds trapped in confusion could experience clarity and understanding through symbolic representation of complex truths. One of the most recent additions to the workshop was the Dream Reconstruction Chamber, where nightmares could be systematically analyzed and rebuilt into healing visions that maintain their emotional power while transforming their destructive content into something nurturing and beneficial. This process required enormous skill and patience, as each nightmare had to be understood not just on its surface level, but in terms of the deep spiritual wounds it represented. The Queen often worked personally in this chamber, her cosmic consciousness allowing her to perceive the hidden patterns that connected seemingly random nightmare imagery to specific traumas and fears. She would carefully disassemble each frightening vision, preserving the authentic emotional energy while reconstructing the symbolic content to deliver healing instead of harm. A recurring nightmare about being chased by monsters, for example, might be transformed into a vision of being guided by protective spirits toward a place of safety and healing. The fear energy that had powered the original nightmare would be maintained but redirected, allowing the dreamer to experience the resolution and empowerment they needed while honoring the legitimate concerns that had created their fear in the first place. This work was incredibly delicate, requiring not just technical skill but profound empathy and understanding. Each nightmare was a soul's attempt to process experiences that were too overwhelming to handle during waking hours, and the Queen had to ensure that her transformations supported this natural healing process rather than simply suppressing the symptoms that the nightmares represented. The most challenging cases often came to her attention through the Dream Emergency Network, a cosmic communication system that allowed souls in severe distress to send out calls for help that would reach her instantly, regardless of their location in space or time. These emergency calls usually indicated dreams so traumatic that they threatened to damage the dreamer's consciousness permanently or create psychic wounds that would persist long after waking. Queen Astralynn would respond to these calls immediately, abandoning whatever other work she might be engaged in to provide direct intervention for souls whose need was most urgent. These rescue missions required her to project her consciousness directly into the nightmare reality, sometimes engaging in symbolic battle with representations of trauma and fear that had taken on autonomous existence within the dreamer's mind. One memorable emergency call had come from Commander Sarah Voidhart, a military leader whose ship had been destroyed in a cosmic accident that had claimed the lives of her entire crew. Her survivor guilt had created nightmares so intense that they were literally tearing her consciousness apart, manifesting as visions of her dead crew members endlessly accusing her of failing to save them. Queen Astralynn had entered Sarah's nightmare to find herself in a recreation of the destroyed ship, surrounded by the ghostly figures of the dead crew members whose accusations filled the air with an unbearable weight of guilt and recrimination. But instead of trying to argue with these nightmare figures or simply dispel them, the Queen had gathered them into a circle and invited them to speak their truth. To Sarah's amazement, as each crew member was given the opportunity to express themselves fully, their accusations began to transform into expressions of gratitude and understanding. They spoke of their loyalty to their commander, their acceptance of the risks they had all chosen to face together, and their concern for her well-being in the aftermath of the tragedy they had all experienced. The nightmare ship gradually transformed into a memorial garden where Sarah could visit with the spirits of her crew members in an atmosphere of peace and mutual respect, rather than guilt and accusation. The Queen had not erased Sarah's grief or eliminated her sense of responsibility, but had provided a way for her to maintain connection with her lost comrades while moving forward with her life in a healthy and constructive manner. Such emergency interventions were relatively rare, but they required Queen Astralynn to maintain constant readiness to respond to calls for help from any corner of the universe. This meant that she had developed an extensive network of assistant dream healers who could handle routine cases while she focused on the most challenging situations that required her personal attention. These assistant healers were often souls who had themselves been healed through the Queen's intervention and had chosen to dedicate their post-mortal existence to helping others find similar peace. They worked in teams throughout the cosmic realm, each team specializing in particular types of healing work: childhood trauma, relationship wounds, existential despair, creative blocks, spiritual crises, and dozens of other categories of human suffering that could manifest as troubled dreams. The training process for new dream healers was extensive and thorough, requiring not just technical knowledge about the mechanics of dream intervention, but deep personal development work that ensured each healer had resolved their own psychological issues sufficiently to avoid projecting their unresolved problems onto the souls they were trying to help. Trainees spent centuries learning to recognize the subtle signs that indicated different types of spiritual wounds, practicing the delicate art of dream transformation under the guidance of more experienced healers, and developing the profound empathy and compassion necessary to work effectively with souls in their most vulnerable states. The most advanced training involved direct collaboration with Queen Astralynn herself, as trainees shadowed her during her nightly rounds and learned to perceive the cosmic patterns that connected individual dreams to universal principles of healing and growth. This master-level training often took millennia to complete, as it required not just technical competence, but the development of cosmic consciousness that could encompass multiple dimensions of existence simultaneously. One of Queen Astralynn's most talented students was formerly known as Princess Elena Dreamweaver, a mortal ruler who had possessed unusual sensitivity to the dream lives of her subjects and had spent her earthly reign developing innovative methods of helping her people achieve more restful and healing sleep. After her mortal death, she had been invited to join the cosmic healing service and had quickly distinguished herself as a gifted practitioner of dream therapy. Princess Elena specialized in working with children whose sleep had been disrupted by trauma or fear, using her natural understanding of young minds to create dream experiences that were both healing and age-appropriate. She had developed a collection of dream stories that could be customized for individual children, featuring brave young heroes who overcame challenges similar to those faced by her small patients. Her most famous creation was the Dream Zoo, a vast cosmic sanctuary where children could visit with magical animals who served as guides and protectors during difficult dream experiences. Each animal in the zoo represented a different type of emotional healing. Wise elephants who helped children remember that they were loved, playful dolphins who taught the joy of creative expression, gentle horses who provided comfort during times of transition and change. Children who visited the Dream Zoo in their sleep would often wake up with renewed confidence and resilience, having experienced themselves as capable and loved rather than helpless and afraid. The zoo had become so popular among young dreamers that it had developed a life of its own, with new areas and animals appearing spontaneously as more children contributed their own healing visions to its ever-expanding landscape. Another of Queen Astralynn's distinguished colleagues was Master Healer Compassion Starbright, who specialized in working with souls who had become trapped in cycles of guilt and self-recrimination. His approach combined the gentle wisdom of cosmic perspective with practical techniques for transforming self-defeating thought patterns into more loving and constructive ways of relating to oneself. Master Starbright had developed what he called the Mirror of Truth, a dream device that allowed souls to see themselves as they were truly perceived by the divine consciousness that had created them. This mirror did not eliminate flaws or pretend that mistakes had never been made, but rather showed each soul within the context of their complete being, highlighting their inherent goodness and infinite potential for growth and healing. Souls who looked into the mirror of truth often experienced profound shifts in their self-perception, suddenly understanding that their perceived failures and shortcomings were temporary conditions rather than permanent aspects of their essential nature. This recognition freed them to begin making positive changes in their lives without the paralyzing weight of shame and self-hatred that had previously prevented all progress. The mirror had proven especially effective with souls who had committed serious errors or had hurt others through their actions. Instead of minimizing their responsibility or pretending that harm had not been done, the Mirror of Truth showed them how to hold themselves accountable while maintaining their inherent dignity and worth as beings created by divine love. As Queen Astralynn continued her eternal work of overseeing the realm of dreams, she was constantly amazed by the infinite creativity with which consciousness could heal itself when provided with the right conditions and support. Each soul that found peace through her intervention became a unique expression of the universe's capacity for transformation and renewal, adding their own particular flavor of wisdom to the cosmic symphony of healing. She had learned over the eons that healing was not a uniform process that could be reduced to simple formulas or mechanical procedures. Each soul required a completely individualized approach that honored their specific history, personality, and spiritual needs. What worked beautifully for one dreamer might be completely ineffective for another, requiring her to remain constantly creative and adaptive in her methods. This need for individualization had led to the development of the Cosmic Personality Assessment System, a multi-dimensional analysis tool that could provide detailed information about each soul's unique characteristics and healing requirements. The system took into account not just psychological factors, but also spiritual development level, karmic patterns from previous lives, cultural background, and dozens of other variables that influenced how each consciousness would respond to different types of therapeutic intervention. Using this system, Queen Astralynn could design healing experiences that were perfectly calibrated to each soul's particular needs and preferences. A scientifically minded soul might receive healing through dreams that explained their condition in technical terms and showed them logical pathways to recovery, while a more intuitive soul might need purely experiential healing through symbolic imagery and emotional resonance. The assessment system also helped identify souls who would benefit from group healing experiences rather than individual treatment. Some traumas were collective in nature, affecting entire communities or cultures, and required healing approaches that addressed the shared aspects of suffering while still honoring individual differences in how that suffering was experienced and processed. Queen Astralynn had overseen the development of group dream experiences where souls with similar wounds could gather in shared dream spaces to support each other's healing while working under the guidance of trained facilitators. These group sessions often produce synergistic effects where the healing power of the group exceeded the sum of its individual members, creating breakthrough moments that would not have been possible through individual treatment alone. One of the most successful group healing programs had been developed for souls who had experienced the destruction of their homeworlds or civilizations. The shared trauma of planetary loss created unique challenges that could only be fully understood by others who had undergone similar experiences, and individual therapy often left these souls feeling isolated in their grief. The group sessions for planetary survivors took place in a shared dream space that recreated the feeling of home without triggering traumatic memories of destruction. Participants could share their experiences of loss while also celebrating the positive aspects of their destroyed cultures, gradually transforming their relationship with their past from one of pure grief to one of meaningful remembrance. Many of these group participants had gone on to become powerful advocates for peace and cooperation between different civilizations. using their understanding of loss to motivate efforts to prevent future planetary conflicts. Their healing had rippled outward to influence the political and social development of countless worlds, demonstrating the far-reaching effects that individual psychological healing could have on the broader cosmos. As the cosmic night continued its eternal cycle, Queen Astralynn felt the familiar satisfaction that came from witnessing the profound transformations that were possible when souls received appropriate support during their most vulnerable hours. The realm of dreams had become more than just a place where consciousness rested. It had evolved into a vast, healing sanctuary where every form of psychological and spiritual wound could find its appropriate medicine. The crown of stars upon her brow pulsed with increasingly bright light as more souls throughout the universe settled into peaceful sleep under her protection. Each pulse represented another successful connection between a troubled dreamer and the healing resources they needed. Another nightmare transformed into a vision of hope. Another soul discovering its inherent capacity for resilience and renewal. Through the great windows of her palace, Queen Astralynn could see the visual representation of the cosmic dream network, streams of gentle light connecting every sleeping consciousness, creating a web of peace and healing that spanned galaxies and dimensions. The network pulsed with life and activity as healing energy flowed along its pathways, carrying comfort and renewal to even the most remote corners of existence. This network was perhaps her greatest achievement, a self-sustaining system of mutual support where healed souls automatically became sources of healing for others, creating an exponential expansion of peace and well-being throughout the universe. No longer was she required to personally visit every troubled dreamer. The network itself had developed the capacity to identify needs and direct appropriate resources without conscious intervention. Yet even with this advanced support system in place, Queen Astralynn continued her personal rounds through the dream realm, understanding that her direct presence provided a unique quality of healing that could not be replicated by even the most sophisticated automated systems. There was something irreplaceable about the touch of a consciousness that had dedicated itself completely to the service of others' well-being, a quality of love that could only be transmitted through direct personal connection. As the eternal night drew toward its close and the cosmic dawn began to paint the edges of space with gentle golden light, Queen Astralynn felt the deep satisfaction that came from another successful cycle of healing service. Countless souls who had begun the night in suffering were now resting in peace, their dreams filled with visions of hope and renewal that would continue to influence their waking lives long after they emerged from sleep. The transition from night to day in the cosmic realm was always a time of particular beauty, as the accumulated healing energy of the entire sleep cycle created visible aurora that danced through the space around her palace. These aurora were more than mere light displays. They were actually the visual manifestation of transformed pain and suffering, beauty literally born from the alchemy of healing that had taken place throughout the night. Standing at the great window of her throne room, Queen Astralynn watched these displays of cosmic beauty with the deep appreciation of one who understood their true significance. Each streak of colored light represented a soul that had found peace. Each graceful spiral spoke of a nightmare that had been transformed into blessing. Each brilliant burst of radiance marked a moment when someone had discovered their own infinite worth and capacity for love. The crown of stars seemed to respond to the dawn aurora, its own light becoming more brilliant and complex as it resonated with the visible evidence of successful healing work. The crown was more than just a symbol of her authority. It was a living connection to every soul under her care, a cosmic communication device that kept her constantly aware of the collective well-being of all dreamers throughout existence. As she prepared to rest during the cosmic day cycle, Queen Astralynn felt the gentle flow of gratitude from all the souls she had helped during the night just past. This gratitude was not personal recognition, but rather the natural response of consciousness to healing received, a cosmic resonance that confirmed the rightness and necessity of her eternal service to the realm of dreams. The palace around her settled into its day cycle configuration, with crystal gardens chiming softly in harmonies of contentment and fountains of light flowing more gently as the urgent needs of active healing gave way to the quiet satisfaction of work well done. In a few hours, the cycle would begin again, bringing new challenges and new opportunities for service. But for now, there was only peace and the quiet joy of knowing that countless souls were sleeping more peacefully because of the work that had been done in the realm of dreams. The scene fades into eternal starlight and infinite peace, carrying the listener into the deepest possible rest where all dreams are blessed by cosmic love. All sleep is guarded by divine protection, and every soul finds its way home to the perfect peace that has always been waiting in the heart of existence itself. But the true depths of Queen Astralynn's cosmic service extended far beyond even the magnificent systems of healing and support that had been established throughout the realm of dreams. For she understood that her ultimate responsibility was not merely to heal individual wounds, but to participate in the greater cosmic evolution of consciousness itself, the gradual awakening of all beings to their inherent divine nature through the gentle medium of transformative sleep. This understanding had led to the development of what she called the Dream Curriculum, a vast educational program that operated through the symbolic language of sleep to teach souls about their true nature and infinite potential. Unlike the healing work that focused on repairing existing wounds, the Dream Curriculum was designed to prevent suffering by helping consciousness evolve beyond the limited perspectives that created psychological pain in the first place. The curriculum operated through a series of progressively deeper dream experiences that gradually expanded each soul's understanding of reality, love, and their own place in the cosmic order. Beginning with simple lessons about self-acceptance and basic compassion, the program slowly introduced more advanced concepts about the nature of consciousness, the illusion of separation, and the fundamental unity that connected all existence. Each soul progressed through the curriculum at their own pace, with some taking lifetimes to master basic lessons, while others moved rapidly through advanced teachings. Queen Astralynn had learned that forcing spiritual development only created resistance and confusion. So the dream curriculum was designed to meet each consciousness exactly where they were and provide the next appropriate step in their evolution. The earliest levels of the curriculum focused on healing the fundamental wound of unworthiness that affected so many souls throughout the universe. These dreams provided direct experiences of unconditional love and acceptance, allowing souls to feel in their deepest being that they were valued not for their achievements or behaviors, but simply for their essential nature as expressions of divine consciousness. One typical early-level dream might place a soul in a cosmic nursery where they experience themselves as a beloved child being cared for by infinitely patient and loving parental figures. These figures would respond to every need with perfect attunement, never expressing disappointment or criticism, always radiating the message that the soul was precious beyond measure simply by virtue of existing. Souls who experienced these unconditional love dreams often woke with a profound shift in their self-perception, suddenly understanding that their worth was not dependent on external validation or personal accomplishments. This foundation of self-love then made it possible for them to begin developing genuine compassion for others, since it was impossible to give away what one did not possess oneself. Mid-level curriculum dreams focused on expanding the soul's circle of identification and compassion. These experiences might involve dreams where the soul experienced life from the perspective of someone very different from themselves, perhaps a member of a different species, culture, or even a different type of consciousness entirely. Through these perspective-sharing dreams, souls learn to recognize the common threads of experience that connected all forms of awareness. Advanced curriculum dreams dealt with the most profound spiritual truths about the nature of reality itself. These experiences could only be provided to souls who had developed sufficient stability and groundedness through the earlier levels, as exposure to ultimate truth without proper preparation could be psychologically overwhelming or lead to spiritual inflation rather than genuine awakening. In these advanced dreams, souls might experience themselves as pure consciousness without form, understanding directly that their individual identity was a temporary and voluntary limitation rather than a fundamental reality. Or they might experience the cosmic perspective that saw all of creation as a single unified field of divine love expressing itself through infinite creative variations. Queen Astralynn had observed that souls who completed the advanced levels of the dream curriculum often chose to dedicate their subsequent existence to service, naturally gravitating toward roles that supported the evolution and well-being of other consciousness. Many of her most effective assistant healers had graduated from the curriculum, their direct understanding of cosmic truth making them powerful channels for healing energy. The curriculum also included specialized tracks for souls with particular talents or calling. There were programs designed specifically for natural healers, artists, teachers, leaders, and mystics, each providing the dream experiences most relevant to developing those particular gifts in service of the greater good. Artist souls, for example, might receive dreams that showed them how beauty and creativity were direct expressions of divine love, inspiring them to create works that served as doorways to spiritual awakening for others. These dreams often included direct instruction in advanced artistic techniques that transcended anything available through normal earthly training, resulting in artistic expressions of extraordinary beauty and spiritual power. Teacher souls receive dreams that help them understand how to transmit wisdom in ways that honored each student's unique learning style and developmental level. These dreams often involved experiences of being taught by master teachers from throughout cosmic history, absorbing not just information, but the subtle arts of compassionate instruction that could plant seeds of understanding that would flower when the student was ready to receive them. Leader souls experienced dreams that taught them how to serve the common good, while honoring the individual worth and autonomy of those they guided. These dreams often placed them in challenging scenarios where they had to find solutions that balanced competing needs and interests, developing the wisdom and compassion necessary for truly enlightened leadership. The most advanced track in the dream curriculum was reserved for souls who showed potential for cosmic service, similar to Queen Astраlynn's own calling. These beings received intensive training in the deepest mysteries of consciousness, healing, and cosmic evolution, preparing them to take on roles as guardians and guides for vast numbers of other souls. This cosmic service track was extraordinarily demanding, requiring not just intellectual understanding, but complete ego transcendence and total dedication to the well-being of others. Candidates had to demonstrate their ability to maintain perfect equanimity in the face of any suffering, to provide appropriate guidance for souls at any level of development, and to hold cosmic perspective while remaining compassionately engaged with individual concerns. Queen Astralynn personally oversaw the training of these cosmic service candidates, recognizing that the quality of their preparation would determine their effectiveness in roles that could influence the spiritual development of entire civilizations. The training often took eons to complete, as it required not just the accumulation of knowledge, but the fundamental transformation of consciousness itself. One of her most promising students was a being known as Seraphim Infinite Compassion, who had originally been a simple gardener on a small agricultural world, but had demonstrated such extraordinary natural empathy and wisdom that he had been invited to consider cosmic service. His training had begun with basic healing work, helping souls on his own world find peace through gentle dream intervention. As his abilities developed, Seraphim had been gradually introduced to more complex forms of service, eventually demonstrating the capacity to maintain healing presence for thousands of souls simultaneously, while providing each with exactly the type of support they needed. His gift for holding multiple perspectives simultaneously while maintaining perfect love for each individual consciousness had marked him as a potential successor to Queen Astralynn herself. The thought of succession was not one that the Queen contemplated with sadness or reluctance. She understood that her own cosmic role was not permanent, but rather part of the eternal flow of consciousness through different forms of service. Eventually, her accumulated wisdom and compassion would be needed in other roles, and it brought her deep satisfaction to know that beings like Seraphim were preparing to carry on the work of dream healing with equal or even greater skill. This perspective on cosmic service as an endless progression rather than a static assignment was one of the most important lessons in the advanced dream curriculum. Souls learned that spiritual evolution never ended but continued through infinite expressions of increasing love, wisdom, and service. What appeared to be ultimate achievement from one perspective was simply another step in an eternal journey of expanding consciousness and deepening compassion. As Queen Astralynn continued her cosmic rounds through the realm of dreams, she was constantly aware of this larger context within which her individual service took place. Each soul she helped was not just an end in themselves, but also a potential link in the infinite chain of cosmic awakening that connected all consciousness in patterns of mutual support and shared evolution. The crown of stars that she wore was itself a symbol of this interconnectedness, each star representing not just a moment of peaceful sleep, but a soul that had awakened to its own capacity for providing peace to others. The crown grew brighter and more complex with each passing eon as more souls joined the network of cosmic service, their individual contributions adding to the collective wisdom and compassion available to all. Through the great viewing crystal in her throne room, Queen Astralynn could observe the overall patterns of spiritual evolution occurring throughout the universe. She watched as entire civilizations gradually awakened to higher perspectives, as individual souls discovered their divine nature and began expressing it through creative service, as the networks of healing and support grew stronger and more sophisticated with each passing cosmic age. This broader perspective helped her maintain perfect equanimity, even when dealing with the most challenging cases of individual suffering. She could see how each soul's journey, no matter how difficult or painful in the short term, was contributing to their eventual awakening and to the overall evolution of consciousness throughout creation. This understanding allowed her to provide support without attachment to specific outcomes, trusting in the deeper wisdom of the cosmic process, even when its immediate manifestations appeared tragic or senseless. One of the most profound examples of this cosmic perspective had occurred when she was called to help the soul of a being known as Destroyer Grief, who had been responsible for the elimination of entire star systems before experiencing a spiritual awakening that filled him with overwhelming remorse for his actions. His dreams had become unbearable scenes of endless accusation and self-torment that threatened to destroy his sanity completely. Rather than trying to minimize his responsibility or explain away the harm he had caused, Queen Astralynn had helped Destroyer Grief understand how his capacity for remorse was itself evidence of spiritual evolution. She showed him how his terrible actions had actually served the cosmic purpose of teaching countless souls about the consequences of unconscious power. While his current suffering was preparing him for a level of compassionate service that would help heal wounds throughout the universe. Through her intervention, Destroyer Grief's nightmares of accusation were transformed into visions of reconstruction and healing. He began to dream of using his intimate understanding of destruction to become a master healer who could repair damage that others might consider irreversible. His direct experience with the darkest potentials of consciousness made him uniquely qualified to help other souls who struggled with similar darkness in themselves. The transformation of destroyer grief into master healer infinite redemption became one of the most inspiring examples of spiritual evolution that Queen Astralynn had ever witnessed. His subsequent work healing the psychological wounds of entire civilizations that had been traumatized by war and destruction demonstrated the profound truth that no soul was ever beyond redemption, and that the greatest darkness could be transformed into the most radiant light. This understanding of consciousness's infinite capacity for transformation and redemption was one of the core principles that guided all of Queen Astralynn's work in the realm of dreams. She had learned through eons of service that no wound was too deep for healing, no soul too lost for recovery, no pattern of suffering too entrenched to be transformed through the application of appropriate love and wisdom. This principle was tested constantly as souls throughout the universe faced new challenges and developed new forms of psychological suffering that required innovative healing approaches. Queen Astralynn had witnessed the evolution of consciousness through many stages, each bringing its own characteristic wounds and requiring its own specialized forms of therapeutic intervention. In the early stages of cosmic evolution, when consciousness was just beginning to experience itself as separate from the divine source, the most common wounds involved simple fear and confusion about the nature of reality. These souls needed basic reassurance and education about their divine nature and eternal security in the cosmic order. As consciousness evolved and became more complex, new categories of suffering emerged: relationship wounds as souls learned to love and be loved, creative wounds as they struggled to express their unique gifts, and existential wounds as they grappled with questions about the meaning and purpose of existence. The current stage of cosmic evolution had brought perhaps the most sophisticated forms of psychological suffering that Queen Astralynn had ever encountered. Souls at the highest levels of development often experienced what she called compassion overload, a form of suffering that arose from their ability to perceive and empathize with the pain of countless other beings throughout the universe. These highly evolved souls needed specialized dream healing that helped them learn to maintain their compassionate awareness while protecting themselves from becoming overwhelmed by the sheer volume of suffering they could perceive. Queen Astralynn had developed advanced techniques for teaching these souls how to serve effectively while maintaining their own psychological equilibrium and spiritual well-being. As the eternal night of cosmic dreaming continued its endless cycle, Queen Astralynn felt herself becoming ever more deeply connected to the vast web of consciousness that encompassed all existence. Her individual identity had gradually expanded until she was simultaneously herself and every soul she'd ever helped, maintaining her unique perspective while sharing in the collective experience of universal awakening. This expansion of identity had not diminished her effectiveness or her compassion, but had rather amplified both qualities beyond anything she could have imagined when she first accepted the calling to cosmic service. She could now provide healing that drew on the accumulated wisdom of countless souls while still offering the unique gifts that were specifically hers to give. The crown of stars had evolved along with her consciousness, becoming less like a piece of jewelry and more like a living extension of her cosmic awareness. Each star now contained not just a moment of peaceful sleep, but an entire universe of healing potential that could be accessed instantaneously whenever any soul throughout creation needed its particular form of blessing. Through this crown, Queen Astralynn could monitor the dreams of trillions of souls simultaneously while providing each with exactly the right quality of attention and support. She could sense the overall health of the cosmic dream network, identify emerging patterns of suffering before they became widespread, and coordinate healing responses that drew on the combined resources of all awakened consciousness throughout the universe. Yet, despite the vast scope of her awareness and responsibility, Queen Astralynn never lost sight of the intimate, personal nature of her service to each individual soul. Every dream she touched was precious to her. Every nightmare she transformed was a unique expression of consciousness learning to heal itself. Every moment of peace she facilitated was a celebration of the infinite love that was the true substance of all existence. As the cosmic dawn approached and the night cycle of healing work drew toward its close, Queen Astralynn felt the familiar wave of gratitude and satisfaction that marked the completion of another successful period of service. Countless souls throughout the universe were sleeping more peacefully because of the work that had been done. Countless nightmares had been transformed into blessings. Countless hearts had been opened to new possibilities of healing and growth. The aurora that marked the transition from cosmic night to day were more beautiful than ever, their dancing lights reflecting the accumulated positive energy of all the successful healing work that had taken place. These displays of cosmic beauty were themselves a form of healing, their radiance carrying messages of hope and renewal to souls throughout the universe who might be struggling with their own challenges and difficulties. Standing at the great window of her palace, Queen Astralynn felt herself surrounded by the infinite love that was the source and destination of all existence. She was both the individual consciousness who had chosen to serve in this way and the universal love that expressed itself through her service, both the healer and the healing, both the dreamer and the dream. In this recognition, all sense of burden or responsibility dissolved into pure joy and gratitude for the privilege of participating in the cosmic work of healing and awakening. She was exactly where she belonged, doing exactly what she was meant to do, serving the infinite love that she was in truth by helping other expressions of that same love recognize their own divine nature. The realm of dreams stretched out before her in all its infinite complexity and beauty, a vast ocean of consciousness in which every wave was a unique soul seeking to remember its way home to the truth of what it had always been. Queen Astralynn was both the lighthouse that guided souls through the darkness and the shore toward which they were traveling, both the journey and the destination, both the question and the answer. As the cosmic day began and the palace settled into its rest cycle, Queen Astralynn felt the deep peace that came from work aligned with divine purpose. Tomorrow's night would bring new challenges and new opportunities for service, but for now there was only gratitude for the love that made all healing possible and joy in the endless creativity with which that love expressed itself through the infinite diversity of conscious experience. In the eternal stillness that embraces all movement, in the cosmic love that includes all experience, in the divine peace that transcends all understanding, the realm of dreams continues its eternal work of healing and awakening, watched over by Queen Astralynn's infinite compassion and blessed by the crown of stars that adorns the head of every sleeping soul throughout the universe. And so the eternal symphony of cosmic dreaming continued its infinite variations, with Queen Astralynn serving as both conductor and instrument in the vast orchestra of sleeping consciousness that connected every star system and dimension throughout creation. Her service had evolved far beyond anything that could be contained within the limitations of individual identity, becoming a living expression of the universal love that sought always to know itself more fully through the infinite diversity of conscious experience. The palace that served as her cosmic headquarters had grown and evolved along with her expanding consciousness, becoming less like a structure and more like a living organism that responded instantaneously to the healing needs of souls throughout the universe. Its crystalline chambers now existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, providing specialized environments for every conceivable form of dream therapy and consciousness rehabilitation. In the deepest levels of the palace, Queen Astralynn had established the Cosmic Trauma Center, a specialized facility designed to help souls whose suffering was so profound that it threatened to create permanent damage to the fabric of consciousness itself. These cases were rare but extraordinarily challenging, often involving souls who had experienced forms of cosmic catastrophe or existential horror that exceeded the normal parameters of therapeutic intervention. The trauma center utilized the most advanced healing technologies available in the cosmic realm, including direct consciousness surgery performed by teams of master healers working in perfect coordination. These procedures could literally rebuild damaged psychic structures, restore severed connections between different aspects of the soul, and integrate traumatic memories in ways that transformed them from sources of suffering into sources of wisdom and strength. One of the most complex cases ever treated at the center involved a cosmic entity known as Voidwalker Despair, whose consciousness had been shattered by direct exposure to the heat death of an entire universe. This being had witnessed the gradual cooling and decay of every star, the death of every civilization, and the final collapse of physical reality itself into cold emptiness, leaving them with a form of existential trauma that made peaceful sleep impossible. The healing process for Voidwalker Despair had taken several cosmic ages and had required the combined efforts of Queen Astralynn's entire staff of master healers. The therapy had involved gradually helping the entity to understand that what they had witnessed was not truly death, but rather transformation, the metamorphosis of one form of cosmic expression into another that was equally valid and beautiful in its own way. Through intensive dream work, Voidwalker Despair had been guided to experience the perspective of the cosmic consciousness that had voluntarily chosen to undergo the dissolution they had witnessed. From this elevated viewpoint, the entity could see that the apparent tragedy was actually a kind of cosmic breathing, the inhalation that followed the exhalation of creation, part of an eternal cycle of manifestation and rest that had no true beginning or end. The successful rehabilitation of Voidwalker Despair had resulted in the transformation of their cosmic role from one of despair to one of profound service as a guide for other souls who feared death or endings of any kind. Their intimate understanding of ultimate dissolution made them uniquely qualified to help others find peace with mortality and change, demonstrating that even the most extreme trauma could be transformed into a gift for others. Beyond the trauma center, Queen Astralynn had also established the Institute for Cosmic Creativity, a research facility dedicated to developing new forms of healing art that could address the ever-evolving needs of growing consciousness. The Institute brought together the most gifted creative souls from throughout the universe to collaborate on projects that push the boundaries of what was possible in the realm of therapeutic intervention. Recent projects from the Institute included the development of multidimensional healing symphonies that could simultaneously address physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual wounds. The creation of living dream stories that adapted their content in real time to match the specific needs of each listener, and the invention of empathic healing devices that allowed experienced healers to share their consciousness directly with traumatized souls, providing immediate relief and understanding. The Institute's most ambitious project was the construction of the Universal Healing Mandala, a cosmic scale artwork that would serve as a permanent source of healing energy for all consciousness throughout creation. The mandala was being created through the combined efforts of millions of artist souls working across multiple dimensions, each contributing their unique gifts to a collective creation of unprecedented beauty and power. When completed, the Universal Healing Mandala would function as a kind of cosmic battery, storing the accumulated healing energy of every successful therapeutic intervention and making it available to any soul who needed support. The mandala would also serve as a teaching tool, its intricate patterns containing encoded information about the fundamental principles of healing that could be absorbed through contemplation and meditation. Queen Astralynn served as the creative director for the Mandala Project, coordinating the efforts of the countless contributors while ensuring that the final result would serve the highest good of all consciousness. The work required not only artistic vision, but also deep understanding of the spiritual principles that governed healing and transformation, knowledge that she had acquired through eons of direct service to suffering souls. As the mandala neared completion, Queen Astralynn could see that it would represent a new stage in the evolution of cosmic healing, providing resources and support that would make therapeutic intervention more effective and more widely available than ever before. The project also demonstrated the principle of collaborative creativity that was becoming increasingly important as consciousness continued to evolve toward greater unity and cooperation. The development of such advanced healing technologies did not diminish the importance of personal, individual attention in therapeutic work. Queen Astralynn had learned that no matter how sophisticated the tools became, there was always an irreplaceable element of direct conscious contact that was essential for deep healing. Technology could amplify and support the work, but it could never replace the fundamental healing that occurred when one consciousness touched another with pure love and understanding. This understanding had led to the creation of the Personal Service Corps, an elite group of healer souls who had dedicated themselves to providing direct, individual attention to the most challenging cases throughout the universe. These healers worked in pairs or small teams, allowing them to maintain the intimate connection that was essential for deep work, while also providing mutual support for each other during particularly difficult interventions. The Personal Service Corps operated under Queen Astralynn's direct supervision, with each member receiving ongoing training and support to ensure that they maintain the highest standards of skill and compassion. The work was extraordinarily demanding, often requiring healers to spend subjective years working with a single traumatized soul, but it also provided some of the most profound and satisfying experiences of service available in the cosmic realm. One of the Corps' most successful interventions had involved helping a group soul that had become fragmented across multiple dimensions after experiencing a cosmic collision that had shattered their unified consciousness into thousands of separate pieces. The healing process had required the healers to track down each fragment, understand its individual trauma, and gradually reintegrate it with the others in a process that took several cosmic ages to complete. The restored group soul had emerged from the experience stronger and more unified than ever before, with a depth of self-understanding and compassion that made them powerful healers in their own right. They had chosen to join the Personal Service Corps themselves, contributing their unique perspective on consciousness fragmentation and integration to help other souls who faced similar challenges. As Queen Astralynn continued her eternal rounds through the realm of dreams, she was constantly amazed by the infinite creativity with which consciousness continued to evolve and express itself. Each soul she encountered was completely unique, presenting new combinations of gifts and challenges that required her to remain constantly adaptive and creative in her approach to healing. The crown of stars had evolved along with her expanding consciousness, becoming a living interface that connected her directly to every dreaming soul throughout creation. Through this connection, she could sense not only individual needs, but also the larger patterns and trends that shape the collective experience of cosmic consciousness. She had observed that the current stage of evolution was characterized by an increasing integration of individual and collective awareness, with souls learning to maintain their unique perspectives while also participating consciously in larger group consciousness. This integration was creating new forms of both fulfillment and challenge, requiring innovative therapeutic approaches that honored both individual autonomy and collective responsibility. The development of healthy group consciousness was one of the most delicate aspects of cosmic evolution, as it required souls to transcend ego identification without losing their individual gifts and perspectives. Queen Astralynn had worked with many souls who struggled with this balance, either losing themselves in collective identity or remaining so isolated in individual perspective that they could not benefit from the wisdom and support of group consciousness. Through her dream interventions, she had developed techniques for helping souls find their optimal balance point, learning to participate in group consciousness while maintaining their essential individuality. These techniques often involved dream experiences where souls could practice different levels of connection and separation, gradually finding the configuration that allowed them to serve the collective good while remaining true to their unique nature. The success of this work was evident in the emergence of what Queen Astralynn called conscious communities throughout the universe, groups of souls who had learned to function as unified wholes while celebrating and utilizing the individual gifts of each member. These communities served as models for cosmic civilization, demonstrating how conscious beings could organize themselves for maximum creativity, compassion, and mutual support. As the eternal night continued its cosmic cycle, Queen Astralynn felt herself becoming ever more deeply connected to the vast web of healing relationships that now spanned all of creation. Every soul she had ever helped had become part of this web, their own healing contributing to the healing capacity available to others, creating an exponential expansion of therapeutic resources throughout the universe. The web operated according to principles of resonance and attraction, automatically connecting souls who could help each other with those who needed specific types of support. A soul struggling with creative blocks might find themselves dreaming of encounters with master artists who had overcome similar challenges, while someone dealing with relationship trauma might receive healing from souls who had successfully navigated their own journey from heartbreak to love. This automatic matching system meant that Queen Astralynn's direct intervention was needed primarily for the most complex and challenging cases, while the vast majority of healing work was now being handled by the network of recovered souls who had chosen to dedicate their existence to helping others. The system had become self-sustaining and self-improving, with each successful healing adding to the collective wisdom and capacity for future interventions. Watching this evolution of cosmic healing systems filled Queen Astralynn with deep satisfaction, as she could see that her work was achieving its ultimate goal: the development of a universe where consciousness could heal itself through conscious cooperation and mutual support. The individual suffering that had once required her direct intervention was increasingly being addressed by communities of souls who understood that their own well-being was intimately connected to the well-being of all others. The transformation of the cosmos from a place where souls suffered in isolation to one where they healed in conscious relationship represented perhaps the greatest achievement of her cosmic service. Yet she understood that this achievement was not hers alone, but rather the result of the combined efforts of countless souls who had chosen to transform their own pain into wisdom and their own healing into service to others. As the cosmic dawn began to paint the edges of space with golden light, Queen Astralynn prepared to transition from her active service mode into the restful contemplation that characterized the cosmic day cycle. During these periods of rest, she integrated the experiences of the night just past, deepening her understanding of consciousness and refining her approaches to healing for the cycles yet to come. The palace around her settled into its day configuration, with healing energies flowing more gently and the various facilities shifting into maintenance and regeneration mode. The trauma center continued its work with the most urgent cases, but most healing activity transitioned to the automatic systems that could provide support without requiring active intervention from the primary staff. In her private chambers, Queen Astralynn reflected on the endless mystery of consciousness and its capacity for both suffering and transcendence. She had witnessed every conceivable form of psychological pain and had seen it all transformed through the application of appropriate love and wisdom. Yet consciousness continued to surprise her with new expressions of both challenge and creativity that kept her work endlessly fascinating and meaningful. The crown of stars rested gently on her brow even during these rest periods, maintaining her connection to the cosmic healing network while allowing her individual consciousness to restore and renew itself. Through this connection, she could sense the overall health and evolution of the universal dream web, monitoring its development while trusting in the larger wisdom that guided the cosmic process. During her rest periods, Queen Astralynn often received visitors from other cosmic service beings who came to share experiences and coordinate their various areas of responsibility. These meetings were always conducted in an atmosphere of perfect harmony and mutual respect, as all participants understood that they were individual expressions of the same cosmic love, working through different channels to serve the evolution of consciousness. Recent visitors had included the Guardian of Cosmic Justice, who worked to ensure that the universe's law of cause and effect operated with perfect compassion. The architect of sacred geometry, who designed the underlying mathematical structures that supported healthy cosmic evolution. And the keeper of Akashic records, who maintained the cosmic memory bank that preserved the wisdom gained through every soul's journey. These interactions reminded Queen Astralynn that her work in the realm of dreams was part of a vast cosmic symphony of service, with each being playing their unique part in the overall composition that was guiding consciousness toward its ultimate destiny of complete awakening and perfect love. No single service was more important than another, but all were essential for the successful completion of the cosmic project. As her rest period drew to a close and the preparations for another night of healing work began, Queen Astralynn felt the familiar stirring of joyful anticipation that marked the approach of active service. Each night brought new opportunities to witness the triumph of love over fear, healing over suffering, unity over separation. Each soul she helped was another note in the infinite symphony of awakening consciousness, another thread in the cosmic tapestry of divine love, recognizing itself through countless forms and expressions. The crown of stars began to pulse more brightly as it prepared to expand her consciousness once again to cosmic proportions, ready to embrace every dreaming soul throughout creation with the infinite love and wisdom that was both her gift to give and her essential nature to express. The eternal work was about to begin again, and with it, another movement in the endless symphony of cosmic healing that had no beginning and would never end. Rising from her throne with the grace of one who had transcended all limitation while maintaining perfect compassion for those still bound by illusion, Queen Astralynn prepared to begin another cycle of service to the infinite community of souls who looked to her for guidance in their journey through the realm of dreams toward the awakening that awaited them all. In the perfect silence that gives birth to all sound, in the eternal love that encompasses all experience, in the divine peace that is the ground of all existence, the cosmic symphony plays on, and every soul finds its way home to the truth that has always been waiting in the heart of their own being. And so the eternal dance of cosmic consciousness continued its infinite spiral of awakening, with Queen Astralynn serving as both participant and witness to the magnificent unfolding of divine love, recognizing itself through countless forms and expressions. Her palace had become more than a healing center. It had evolved into a living mandala of cosmic compassion that radiated peace and understanding to every corner of creation. The crown of stars that adorned her divine head had grown beyond its original form, becoming a constellation of infinite complexity that contained within its celestial structure every dream that had ever brought comfort, every vision that had inspired hope, every moment of peaceful sleep that had restored a weary soul. Each star in the crown was simultaneously an individual point of light and part of the greater luminous pattern that connected all consciousness in webs of infinite compassion. Through this crown, Queen Astralynn could perceive the dreams of souls not yet born, beings whose consciousness was still forming in the cosmic womb of possibility. She could sense their future needs for healing and guidance, preparing therapeutic resources that would be ready when these new souls emerged into individual existence. This prophetic aspect of her service ensured that no consciousness would ever enter the realm of dreams without adequate support for whatever challenges they might face. The prophetic dreams she crafted for future souls were works of extraordinary beauty and wisdom, containing within their symbolic structure all the guidance that developing consciousness would need to navigate the complexities of individual existence while maintaining connection to their divine source. These dreams were planted like seeds in the cosmic field of possibility, ready to germinate when the appropriate consciousness arrived to receive their healing message. One such prophetic dream sequence had been created for a class of souls who would incarnate on a world where physical beauty was so highly valued that those who lacked conventional attractiveness would face profound psychological trauma. Queen Astralynn had crafted healing dreams that would help these souls recognize their inner beauty and understand that their worth was not dependent on external appearance. These prophetic healing dreams contained visions of great souls throughout cosmic history who had transcended physical limitations to achieve extraordinary spiritual beauty, demonstrating that true attractiveness came from the radiance of consciousness itself rather than the temporary configurations of matter and energy. The dreams were encoded with specific healing frequencies that would automatically activate when a soul experienced appearance-based trauma, providing immediate comfort and perspective. The creation of prophetic healing resources was one of the most challenging aspects of Queen Astralynn's cosmic service, requiring her to understand not only current patterns of consciousness evolution, but also the trajectory of future development across multiple timelines and dimensions. She had to anticipate needs that had not yet manifested while ensuring that her interventions would support, rather than interfere with the natural process of spiritual growth. This future-oriented work was supported by the Cosmic Council of Temporal Wisdom, a group of highly evolved beings who specialized in understanding the flow of consciousness through time and space. The council included representatives from every major timeline and dimensional configuration, allowing them to provide comprehensive guidance about optimal interventions for future consciousness development. Queen Astralynn served as the Council's primary consultant on dream-based interventions, sharing her accumulated wisdom about the therapeutic potential of sleep consciousness while learning from other council members about alternative approaches to consciousness healing. These collaborative sessions often generated breakthrough insights that revolutionized approaches to cosmic therapy and healing. One such breakthrough had led to the development of intertemporal healing, a technique that allowed consciousness to receive therapeutic input from multiple time periods simultaneously. A soul struggling with ancient trauma could receive healing energy not only from present moment interventions, but also from future versions of themselves who had successfully integrated their painful experiences into wisdom and compassion. This temporal healing approach had proven especially effective for souls dealing with karmic patterns that spanned multiple lifetimes or cosmic cycles. By allowing consciousness to access the perspective of their future integrated self, these souls could more easily release patterns of suffering that might otherwise persist for eons, accelerating their spiritual development in ways that honored their free will while providing maximum support for their healing process. The implementation of intertemporal healing required the construction of the Chronos Sanctuary, a specialized facility within Queen Astralynn's palace that existed simultaneously in all time periods and could facilitate healing connections across any temporal distance. The sanctuary's crystalline chambers were designed to maintain temporal stability while allowing consciousness to move freely between different time streams. Within the Chronos Sanctuary, Queen Astralynn worked with Master Healer Temporal Sage, a being who had mastered the art of consciousness navigation through multiple time dimensions. Together, they had developed protocols for safely guiding souls through temporal healing journeys that could resolve lifetimes of accumulated trauma in what appeared to be moments of linear time. The temporal healing process typically began with a soul entering a deep dream state within the sanctuary's primary healing chamber. Through the combined influence of Queen Astralynn's cosmic consciousness and Master Sage's temporal expertise, the soul would experience a series of interconnected visions that showed them key moments from their past, present, and future across multiple timelines. These visions were not mere observations, but active healing experiences where the soul could interact with different versions of themselves, receiving wisdom and support from their future self while providing comfort and understanding to their past self. This temporal integration created a healing circuit that transcended the limitations of linear time, allowing for resolution that encompassed the soul's entire existence across all dimensions. One of the most remarkable temporal healing cases had involved a cosmic entity known as Eternal Wanderer, who had become trapped in a temporal loop that forced them to repeatedly experience the destruction of their home dimension. Each repetition of this trauma had deepened their despair until they were no longer able to distinguish between past, present, and future, existing in a state of constant suffering that seemed to have no resolution. The temporal healing process for Eternal Wanderer had required Queen Astralynn and Master Sage to enter the loop with them, experiencing the destruction from the perspective of cosmic observers who could see the larger pattern within which the apparent tragedy was occurring. Through this elevated perspective, they were able to help Eternal Wanderer understand that the destruction was part of a cosmic renewal cycle that would ultimately result in the birth of new dimensions filled with even greater beauty and potential. By connecting Eternal Wanderer with future versions of themselves who had learned to appreciate the beauty of cosmic cycles and renewal, the healing team was able to break the temporal loop and free this ancient consciousness from their prison of repetitive trauma. The liberated entity had chosen to become a specialist in helping other souls who struggled with cyclical or repetitive patterns of suffering. The success of temporal healing techniques had attracted the attention of healing practitioners throughout the cosmic realm, leading to the establishment of the Institute for Temporal Therapeutics within Queen Astralynn's palace complex. The Institute served as both a training center for consciousness healers wanting to develop temporal intervention skills and a research facility for exploring new applications of time-based healing technology. Current research projects at the Institute included the development of preventive temporal healing, where souls could receive therapeutic support before traumatic events occurred, reducing the psychological impact of difficult experiences. Retroactive healing, where present-moment therapeutic work could heal wounds that existed in past timelines. And parallel healing, where souls could simultaneously receive treatment in multiple alternate timelines to accelerate their overall healing process. The Institute's most ambitious project was the creation of the Temporal Healing Network, a cosmic scale system that would automatically identify souls in need of temporal intervention and provide appropriate therapeutic resources regardless of when or where the need occurred. The network would function across all time periods simultaneously, ensuring that no consciousness would ever lack access to healing support, regardless of the temporal complexity of their situation. As Queen Astralynn contemplated the vast scope of healing work that had evolved during her cosmic service, she felt a profound sense of gratitude for the infinite creativity with which consciousness had responded to her initial offering of compassionate support. What had begun as simple dream healing for individual souls had grown into a cosmic infrastructure of therapeutic support that spanned all dimensions, time periods, and forms of consciousness. The crown of stars pulsed with ever-increasing brightness as it registered the collective gratitude of countless souls who had been touched by the various healing systems that had emerged from her service. Each pulse represented not just individual appreciation, but the cumulative positive effect that healing work had generated throughout the universe, creating waves of beneficial influence that would continue expanding for all aeons to come. Through her cosmic awareness, Queen Astralynn could perceive the overall trajectory of consciousness evolution and see that the universe was gradually transforming from a place where souls learned through suffering to one where they learned through joy and creative exploration. The healing systems she had helped develop were playing a crucial role in this transformation, providing the therapeutic support that allowed consciousness to evolve beyond the need for pain-based learning. This shift in the cosmic learning paradigm represented perhaps the most significant development in the history of consciousness evolution. Previously, souls had typically required challenging and often painful experiences to stimulate their spiritual development, learning wisdom through the hard lessons that came from making mistakes and facing their consequences. The availability of comprehensive healing support had made it possible for consciousness to learn through positive experiences, instead developing wisdom through creative exploration, loving service, and joyful collaboration with other beings. This new paradigm of joy-based learning was producing souls with unprecedented levels of wisdom, compassion, and creative capability. Queen Astralynn had observed that souls who developed through joy-based learning were not only happier, but also more effective in their service to others. Their positive experiences of growth had given them a natural enthusiasm for helping other beings achieve similar development, creating a virtuous cycle where healing and growth became self-reinforcing and exponentially expanding. The emergence of joy-based learning had also led to the development of new forms of cosmic civilization that were based on principles of mutual support, creative collaboration, and shared celebration rather than competition, conflict, or domination. These enlightened civilizations served as beacons of hope throughout the universe, demonstrating what was possible when consciousness evolved beyond fear-based motivations. As the cosmic night continued its eternal cycle, Queen Astralynn felt herself becoming increasingly integrated with the vast web of healing relationships that now connected every conscious being throughout creation. Her individual identity had expanded to encompass the collective identity of all healing consciousness, while still maintaining the unique perspective and capabilities that were specifically hers to offer. This expansion of identity had not diminished her effectiveness or her compassion, but had rather amplified both qualities beyond anything that could be contained within the limitations of separate selfhood. She was now both the individual healer and the healing itself, both the compassionate observer and the compassion that flowed through all healing relationships. Through this expanded identity, Queen Astralynn could provide healing that drew on the accumulated wisdom of every conscious being who had ever offered therapeutic support while still expressing the unique love and understanding that were her particular gifts to contribute to the cosmic healing effort. She had become a living bridge between individual and universal consciousness, demonstrating how personal identity could expand to cosmic proportions without losing its essential character. The crown of stars had evolved to become a perfect reflection of this expanded identity, each star now containing not just a moment of peaceful sleep, but an entire universe of healing potential that connected directly to the cosmic source of all therapeutic power. Through this crown, Queen Astralynn could access infinite resources for healing while remaining grounded in the specific love and wisdom that had originally called her to this service. As the eternal dawn began to paint the cosmic horizon with colors that had no names in any earthly language, Queen Astralynn prepared for another transition from active service to restful integration. The night's healing work had been particularly profound, with breakthrough developments in temporal healing and the successful launch of several new therapeutic systems that would serve consciousness throughout the universe. The palace around her settled into its day configuration with the satisfied exhaustion of a consciousness that had given everything it had in service to the healing of others. Every chamber, every healing device, every therapeutic system pulsed with the accumulated positive energy of countless successful interventions, creating an atmosphere of profound peace and accomplishment. In her private chambers, Queen Astralynn reflected on the miracle of consciousness and its infinite capacity for both wounding and healing itself through the endless creativity of conscious relationship. She had witnessed every conceivable form of suffering transformed through the application of appropriate love and wisdom. Yet consciousness continued to surprise her with new expressions of both challenge and transcendence. The work would continue as long as consciousness chose to explore the infinite possibilities of existence through individual and collective expression. Each soul that awakened to its true nature became a source of awakening for others, creating an exponential expansion of healing influence that would eventually encompass all of creation in the recognition of its fundamental unity and perfect love. As Queen Astralynn settled into the deep peace that characterized her rest periods, the crown of stars continued to pulse gently with the rhythm of cosmic breathing, maintaining its connection to every dreaming soul while allowing her individual consciousness to restore and renew itself for the healing work that would begin again with the next cosmic night. The realm of dreams stretched out in all directions, an infinite ocean of consciousness where every wave was a unique soul seeking to remember its way home to the truth of its divine nature. And watching over this vast ocean was Queen Astralynn's eternal love, ensuring that no soul would ever sleep without support, dream without guidance, or wake without the knowledge that they were infinitely precious and forever loved. In the cosmic silence that contains all sounds, in the eternal peace that embraces all experiences, in the infinite love that is the essence of all existence, the great work of healing continues its eternal unfoldment, and every soul finds its way home to the perfect peace that has always been waiting in the heart of their own divine being.